Hello and welcome back to the Pitch Side podcast channel. I'm your host, the HOD of the BSB. Like, share, comment on this video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Enable notifications to receive all the updates from these match recaps and all the content on the channel, including the podcast episodes. Listen to those on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. It's been a while since we've done a match recap, and we're coming back with the Premier League draw between Liverpool and Newcastle United. A draw late, a very dramatic draw for Newcastle United against Liverpool at Anfield, of course. And this is an interesting game. It was a good game. It was a really intriguing game till the end. Definitely interesting from both sides. Newcastle, from Steve Bruce and from his sort of the way he sets up, you know what you're going to get. But for Liverpool, they changed the shape a little bit. They played almost with a 4-4-2, really. It seemed like a 4-2-3-1 on paper, at least on the pitch it was, but on paper it was 4-4-2. Thiago Alcantara had a comfortable game, which is something we could not really say a lot about Thiago this season, the fact that he has a comfortable game. But I think this was one of those matches where it had two scenarios. The first scenario was, as long as the game goes 0-0, Newcastle are going to get a little bit more confidence in themselves and are going to get hit Liverpool on the counter, hit them on the spaces that are going to be behind the midfielder. We saw those spaces existing with Thiago and Wijnaldum being the double pivot. And you know, the Jurgen Klopp going for a full force in the striking department with four players up top. He really left himself a little bit open in this game. Liverpool certainly missed loads of chances, particularly in the first half. I would say Jota maybe had 4 or 5 straight opportunities in the game to score. Newcastle were not organised in the back. They played a little bit higher than expected for a Steve Bruce Newcastle side, leaving the Liverpool attackers to run behind them. Jota, Salah and Mane expecting that they would be offside, but they wouldn't. Liverpool did everything possible in football. They played wide, they played central, they played long and they played short. Again, Thiago had a very comfortable game, commanding the midfield, setting up the pace, picking up the passes at the right time and picking up the passes at the right moments. But Liverpool lacked finishing. Except the goal really from Mo Salah. You have to check it out. It's a brilliant goal. The touch and turn from him was tremendous, and the smashing finish into the net. But aside from that, Liverpool's finishing was off the mark, realistically speaking. They had a couple of opportunities in the first half, another ones in the second half, but they always were open to runners from behind for Newcastle, who flipped the switch on their usual script of formation. It was a 5-3-2, but it was Alan Saint-Maximin sort of being a number 10 behind Miguel Almiron and Joelinton, instead of him being a winger or one of two behind Joelinton with Miguel Almiron. And that, I think, allowed the runners to come from behind. It pulled players towards him. It certainly gave space for the likes of Longstaff in particular to run behind the midfielders and into the defence. They had situations where they could have scored with a better finishing in the first half. And in the second half, the first 10 minutes or so, Newcastle entered really, really well. They knew they wanted to start strong. They started strong. They had opportunities. But then, with the changes that Liverpool made in the middle, with James Milner coming in for Diogo Jota, it made the midfield a little bit stern. Liverpool controlled the ball a little bit better. They didn't allow runners from behind. The ball wasn't getting to Saint-Maximin as it used to be. But in the same time, as the finishing was not good, you just knew that karma is going to be biting Liverpool in the backside, and they're going to be conceding the equalizer because they couldn't finish their chance that they have. Dubravka was saving, actual bad finishing from the players up front, of course. Salah, Firmino, Jota in particular again, and Sadio Mane all contributed in the bad finishing today. And Newcastle, as long as the game were on 1-0 for Liverpool, they knew they had a chance, and of course they made the substitutions. Callum Wilson came in and improved, I think, the play for Newcastle, getting a little bit more in behind the defenders, having a couple of situations where he could have scored. He actually scored, but the goal was cancelled in the 94th minute. But guess what? It wasn't the end of the game. Newcastle made it 1-1 in the 95th minute. Liverpool completely got out. A complete lack of concentration in the last moment on a set piece, and Joe Willer coming on from the bench and midway in the second half, scoring the equaliser, nicking the point for Newcastle, and denying Liverpool a chance of going above Chelsea and West Ham at the top four, who play later on today. Newcastle, of course, important point that would help them on their quest of remaining in the Premier League, which almost looks pretty close to being achieved really. They don't have a lot of problems in terms of the next fixtures, and they're also on a good form as of late. They only lost once in the last 8 Premier League games. That's it for the game. Again, a deserved draw for Newcastle overall. I think Liverpool got what they deserved because they were very complacent and they lacked a bit of efficiency up front. With the 4 players that they had, only 1 strike went in the net. I mean, it's bonkers for the chances that they had in the game. That's it for the game. Like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates from these recaps and match recaps on the channel, the podcast episodes, listen to those on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. And until next time, I'll be seeing you soon. Goodbye.